Grow Tents for Growing Weed by Percys Grow Room. Finding the best grow tents for growing weed is one of the first things you'll be looking for when you start to grow weed indoors. There are many brands of grow tents and many different sizes. As a new grower, it can be hard to decide which grow tent is the best for your needs. In this guide, we will explain how to decide what size grow tent will be the best for you. Also, we will discuss what brands you can rely on for good quality. There will also be links to the grow tents in this guide, so you can buy them right from here. By the end of this guide, you will have a good idea of what grow tent you will need to grow your own weed. What size grow tent is best for growing weed? When deciding what size grow tent you need, you should know how much cannabis you need to grow. On average, a cannabis grow will last around 16 weeks from when you first germinate the seed to when the buds are dry and ready to use. This means you need to calculate how much cannabis you use in a week and multiply it by 16, or the amount of time it will take your grow to finish. If grown well, a cannabis plant grown indoors can yield around 4 to 5 ounces of dry buds. A plant this size will need 2 foot by 2 foot of space to grow happily. How much weed should you grow? So let's say, for example, you have calculated that you use around 1 ounce of cannabis every week. For you to grow enough weed for personal use, you will need to grow 16 ounces. This can be done with 4 plants. For a grow tent big enough to grow 4 plants, you will need something around the size of 4 foot by 4 foot. If you use half an ounce a week, then you need to aim at growing 8 ounces of cannabis, which can be done with 2 plants. In some cases, you may need to grow cannabis to make extracts or oils for medicines, so you will need more space than this. The important thing to bear in mind is every plant you intend to grow will get around 4 to 5 ounces of dry buds, and it will need 2 foot by 2 foot of space to grow happily. Best grow tent for growing one weed plant. If you do not use a lot of cannabis, or maybe you do not have a huge budget for a big setup, then you can start with a small grow tent. In most cases, growers who grow just one plant will use a 60 cm by 60 cm by 120 cm grow tent. A 60 cm grow tent is not only great for growing one plant for its whole life cycle, but it is very good for vegging small plants. The plants are then moved to a bigger room when they need the space. As mentioned, you can use a small grow tent like this to grow one decent sized plant and yield around 4 to 5 ounces of dry cannabis. You may be able to grow 2 smaller plants, but it will be a squeeze. Some growers will grow in bigger tents and use a 2 foot by 2 foot grow tent as a small veg room. This not only reduces the amount of electricity wasted on lighting, but it can also reduce time in between harvests. A 60 cm tent is a great accessory to have in any grow room. For seedlings, cuttings, or vegging plants, it's highly recommended that you own one. If you only have space for one grow tent, but need to grow more plants, then another size might be a better option for you. 60 cm grow tents will need 250 watts of HID lighting or LED lighting with similar output. You will also need at least a 4-inch extraction kit. Best grow tents for growing 2 cannabis plants. Each cannabis plant should be given a 4-foot squared space to grow in. This gives the plant enough space to grow fully and still leaves space for airflow to move around the grow room. It is more than possible to squeeze 2 plants into a 60 cm by 60 cm grow tent, but the plants will not be too happy. If you think that growing 2 plants would be better for you, then a 2 foot by 4 foot grow tent could be the best grow tent for growing weed for your needs. Many grow tents will come as a square base, but it's also possible to buy grow tents that are more rectangular in shape. Take a look around the websites recommended below if you need a grow tent of a particular size. Some grow tent manufacturers can make custom grow tents just for you. Best grow tents for growing 4 cannabis plants. There are 2 different types of grow tents for growing 4 cannabis plants. You will find either a 1 meter by 1 meter by 2 meter grow tent or a 1.2 meter by 1.2 meter by 2 meter grow tent are the most common. In a grow tent this size, you will be able to grow 4 decent-sized cannabis plants. Also, you should yield between 16 and 20 ounces of dry cannabis per grow. Grow tents of this size should run on at least 5-inch extractors. Big grow tents like this use 600-watt lighting and they can produce a lot of heat. 6-inch extraction is preferred, as you can slow the fan down if you need to, but 5-inch will be fine if you're on a tight budget. Growing 4 cannabis plants is usually plenty to keep you smoking your own supply of weed. But for some, growing weed is more for medicinal purposes, and you will need to grow more to get enough oils and extracts to make medicine. If you need to grow more than 4 plants, it can become a chore. You will need more space, more lights, more food, and more time to tend to the grow. It might sound great to have more plants, but less is best. You can grow enough cannabis with 4 plants to supply yourself with your own weed. But if you need to grow more cannabis than this, you can use a 1.2 meter grow tent for a flowering room with a smaller tent for a vegging room. For people who are growing cannabis for medicines like oils, you will need a bigger tent. Most growers who grow for medical use will grow around 8 plants in a 1.2 by 2.4 meter grow tent. Best grow tents for growing a kilo of weed. For some growers, there will be many reasons why they need to grow a lot of cannabis. Maybe you want to convert your crop into oils for medicines. Maybe you only intend to grow once a year throughout the winter time when temperatures are easier to control. If this is the case for you, then the best grow tent for growing weed for your needs would be a 1.2 by 2.4 by 2 meter grow tent. In a grow tent this size, you can fit 8 to 10 decent sized cannabis plants. But you have to bear in mind, this takes up a lot of space and you'll need a lot of power to run a setup of this size. If you need to grow more than 4 plants every 16 weeks, but you do not have enough space for a grow tent of this size, you can always use 2 spaces for growing. By using a 1 meter or 1.2 meter grow tent along with a 60 centimeter grow tent, you can grow perpetually. Perpetual growing. Growing cannabis perpetually means you have at least 2 different grow spaces with plants in different stages of growth. One space will be for vegging your plants, the other will be for flowering them. Doing this will reduce the time between harvest to around 10 weeks. The best grow tents for growing weed will differ depending on your circumstances. For perpetual growers, a small veg space and a bigger flowering space works well. For growers who will only grow once a year, then a 1.2 by 2.4 meter grow tent will be the best option. Best grow tent manufacturers and brands. Once you have figured out what size grow tent you will need, you should look at your budget and decide which company you are going to buy from. Usually, the more you spend, the better you get, but that's not always the case. Some grow tents will come with thick, well-insulated mylar walls. Others will be made of cheaper reflective material with no insulation at all. You need to, again, take a look at your personal situation and take some of these factors into consideration. Is it hot or cold in the area you will be growing in? If so, consider well-insulated grow tents. Is height a problem? You can get grow tents in different heights and with different shaped ceilings. Look into those if you need to. Budget. Can you afford the top-end grow tent right now, or can you make do with a cheaper model? Anything will do to get you started. Vents and power inlets. You will need a place to put ducting to allow fresh air to enter the grow room and for old air to be exhausted out. Also, you will need a place for some power inlets so you can power lights and fans inside the grow tent. Lightproof. The tent you use needs to be lightproof. If the night cycle of your plants is disturbed during flower, they might hermy. So ensuring your tent has no light leaks is vital. Always double check your tent by getting into it with the lights off and doors and vents closed. This will show you if there are any light leaks that could cause problems. Mars Hydro Grow Tents. Mars Hydro are one of the most popular brands amongst cannabis growers. They are also a sponsor of Percys Grow Room. If you are looking for high quality grow tents at a competitive price, then Mars Hydro is the solution for you. They have a huge range of grow tents in many different sizes and can ship all around the world. Not only do Mars Hydro supply grow tents, but they also have an awesome range of LED grow lighting. Highly recommended, great quality at a fantastic price. Gorilla Grow Tents. One of the biggest brands in grow tents is Gorilla Grow Tents. These are the pinnacle for grow tents for Percy growers. Expensive, but very high quality. These grow tents come with very reflective walls that are well insulated too. Shipping outside of the USA can be expensive, but if you have a good budget and you want to buy the very best, then Gorilla Grow Tents may be your best option. Grow tents on Amazon. Of course, you can find grow tents on Amazon. This is good for growers who are on a tight budget and need something cheap to do the job until they can afford better. Once you have harvested and you no longer buy cannabis, you will save a lot of money. After your first grow, you can reinvest in better equipment. But if you're on a budget, starting off with a cheap grow tent is fine. We all start off somewhere. Thanks for watching. I hope this guide has told you everything you need to know and you now know the best grow tents for growing weed for your own situation. If you need any more guidance, then you can always post in the forum and ask for help. Do you agree with the list? What is your favourite brand of grow tent and why? Let us know in the comments below. It's always good to get feedback from people who grow. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy growing, Percy growers.